Welcome everyone. It's Barbenheimer
Yes,
time.
it's Barbenheimer time.
What was that? What was that meme? With that one
What?
movie, it's something time.
It's Morbin
Morbin
time. It's
time.
Morbius. It's
Yeah,
Morbin
that's like
time.
that's the new Morbin time. Now it's
It's more.
Barbenheimer.
It is.
The trend that sweeps
Yeah.
the nation.
It did
It,
sweep.
I mean,
Swept.
it's kind of like the whole on a much bigger scale. It's like how Animal Crossing New Horizons and Doom came out like the same day or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That was kind of a cute little thing that happened. There was a lot of fan art with that, but this was like, yeah, this was that to like the extreme
It's like
for
people
sure.
actually going to see both back to back and making whole like
Yeah. I
outfits out of
so
it. So,
I did. I did this. I went and did it. I didn't dress up in anything. I don't
yeah.
have anything pink, and I didn't have any super nice clothes to put on or whatever to ken it up. But yeah, I went and saw both in the same day. So, and then I've
I did
seen
not.
Oppenheimer again. I've seen Oppenheimer again since, and I'm actually probably gonna go see it again this weekend. So,
I did not see
um,
back to back. I saw one like a week before. I saw Barbie, and then the week after I saw Oppenheimer. Um, my girlfriend and I we were in New York City for her to do an audition, and so we went to like an AMC theater in New York City to see
oh,
Oppenheimer
nice.
or Barbie,
Yeah.
and then we saw Oppenheimer the next week. But
Nice.
yeah, I couldn't personally. After watching both, I was like, "There's no way I could do that. I can't sit through that long. Like Oppenheimer's long."
Oppenheimer's long. The thing to me is Oppenheimer doesn't feel that long to me. Yes, it's 3 hours long, but it's paced extremely
Mhm.
well. Um, I felt anyway. I
Okay,
watched it.
well, let's start with Barbie,
You know,
right?
we want to start with. Do we want to start with Barbie? So I actually watched it Oppenheimer then Barbie,
That's
and I feel like
Oppen B.
yeah, but I feel like that's the best way to do it.
Really? Well,
pers-
to cheer
Personally,
yourself up.
yeah, you gotta cheer yourself up after
Mhm.
Oppenheimer, man. You gotta have a little bit of escapism
All right. Well,
after.
I have the Barbie background on right now, so
Okay, all
we're
right.
in the
Well, we're
Barbie
doing Barbie
world.
first. That's totally fine. We can be in the Barbie world for a little bit anyway. So
So basically, yeah, this video is it's basically two reviews, little smaller reviews in one. We'll
yeah.
do our whole. We'll give a score for Barbie. We'll give a score for Oppenheimer separately, but it won't be one Barbenheimer score collective.
Mm. Yeah, that would be. I mean, 10 out of 10 for the meme of it all. You know, that's what you got to
Well,
do for that.
one of the like movie reviewers I watched, I didn't watch them, but he did like a Barbie review, an Oppenheimer review, and then a separate Barbenheimer review, which it wasn't like
Yeah.
5 minutes. It was like a 30-minute review. So I'm really wondering what that's like,
Yeah, what's that all about? I wonder.
as just viewing it as one long movie. It's like,
Yeah, I guess maybe, or viewing it as an experience or something, maybe, or I don't know.
mm.
I don't know how you plumb 30 minutes of content out of that, but hey.
Alright, so how do we feel about Barbie? It's pink.
I thought it was pretty fun.
Mm.
It was a fun movie. I don't really have much more to say about it than
All
that.
right, let's go to
The theater was
Oppenheimer.
packed.
Oh.
The theater was packed when I went and saw
Oh.
it, and I think the audience was probably laughed at it way more than I did. I thought it was funny. It was a very fun and funny movie. Ryan Gosling, hysterical.
Yeah.
And I mean, I like Margot Robbie anyway. I think she's gorgeous. So I mean, getting to look at Margot Robbie for the whole entirety of a movie is also not bad in my eyes. So like,
Hmm.
it's just fun. I mean, it's just
It's
like
fun.
the cinematography, the just general. I guess just the general vibe, and I wasn't like. I wasn't overly crazy about the script. I think that the comedy writing of the script it was brilliant, but I couldn't figure out what the message was supposed to be because it was so. My problem with the movie is that it sort of felt like it was kind of at odds with itself half the time.
Right. Well, I think it
Where
had
it's
some
like,
fun with that, though.
yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. It's just it was hard for me to take it as anything more seriously
Hmm.
than just it's a movie about Barbie, and it does sort of touch on a few things like that's kind of nice. Um, I guess. I actually thought it was really interesting how the movie ends. I thought it was given everything that the kind of we've been hammered down our throats about certain things, I guess we'll just say. I found it interesting that it ends the way it does. So I guess spoilers. That Barbie goes to the human world in the end. She's like, she gets.
It's kind of like the end of the Little Mermaid.
Yeah, it was really interesting to me that she's willing to instead of living in a world that's kind of benefits and all about her, she's willing to step into a world that isn't going to necessarily favor her, but it's worth living in all the same. And I was like, that's really, just thought that was so interesting, the way to end it. And of course, then you end it with a gynecologist joke, and that was actually legitimately funny. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. All the performances were fun. It was just a visual treat. Yeah, I don't know. I really liked it. I was entertained. I didn't think it was anything overly amazing or anything, but I would willingly watch it again. I had a good time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun for sure, and I think it was very bold of Mattel to openly, like, they have this movie where that's openly criticizing like what Barbie did to society, basically. You know, it's very interesting. It's not like some safe. I think that's what people appreciate about it. It's not like a safe script about. It's almost playing. But it's almost like an ironic take.
Is it? That was the problem I had with it, because like I couldn't actually tell if it was saying that or not.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the fact you had like the CEO like freaking out and like obviously being like, his response was not like the most level-headed to like these criticisms and whatnot. It's like, oh, we had this CEO at years ago, and then at this point, and then.
But he's also not like a horrendous villain. He's just Will Ferrell,
right?
In every movie that Will Ferrell's ever been in, basically, except for maybe Elf. But he just plays himself as that role. But he's also like not malicious or whatever, you know, like, because when he gets the word that the Mojo Dojo Kesa House Ken is selling like crazy, and he's like, well, that doesn't matter because Barbie's more important. And it's like, but Mattel, the company that sells Hot Wheels, catered to boys, like. There's just parts of it that was just, I don't know. I didn't, because the thing is, the CEO wasn't like evil. Like, he was a big buffoon. He was a misguided buffoon.
Right, but he wasn't like they joked evil. That there was like a joking like caricature of what like their actual CEO might be with how their products are done.
Well,
so it's kind of that's a nice tongue-in-cheek take on it. I mean, it's not like, oh, it's a serious Barbie movie. Like, there's definitely a world where you try to make a Barbie movie and it's nothing. No one goes to see it. They marketed this movie really well. With like, I saw so many posts beforehand with like, this Barbie whatever, and it's like this huge long cast list, and they did really well with marketing it from the beginning.
Oh, marketing. I mean, it almost marketed itself when you got Greta Gerwig attached to it, because it's like. Director notorious for like movies with a sort of feminist edge or a feminist sort of tone, and then it's like, and then you give them a Barbie movie, and they're like, that's like, you already know, like, okay, well, this isn't going to be played straight. Obviously, there's going to be something here, and yeah, I mean, it was wacky, zany, tongue in cheek. And yeah, definitely poking fun at sort of, well, basically everything you said, more or less.
Yeah,
so.
The two perfect leads too. You know, I mean, they carry the movies so well. Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. It's like,
what I thought was kind of amazing is that like Ryan Gosling's like in his 40s,
right?
Almost his 50s or something. He's almost in his 50s, but I mean, you can kind of tell. To a certain degree, but to me, like the amount of makeup that he had on worked because he's Ken. He's supposed to be
Yeah.
like perfect and like, all dolled up kind of. He's Ken. He's Barbie's accessory.
My favorite part of the movie is the Ken song. I'm a Ken. I love that whole sequence.
Oh yeah, are you talking about the fight scene?
Right, but then he goes into the whole like music video basically. He's like, "I'm a Ken.
Oh yeah.
Anything else?" Yeah.
Yeah, that was like that was easily the best scene in the movie. I would agree. I would agree.
It was just so much fun. I was having fun the whole time,
Yeah.
and like,
Yeah, I had a good time.
yeah, the way they just like they play with like throwing them around and like the the ocean not really being ocean and stuff like that. For just like, yeah, it's like, all right, sure.
I mean, just like hats off to. I mean, this really isn't a kids movie. That's another thing that you also have to sort of point out. Like, there's nothing in it that's like overly like offensive, but like the movie also isn't really a kids movie at the same time. If that makes sense, like,
Yeah.
it does feel very much geared towards an older skewed audience for sure.
Gonna beat you off.
Beat you off.
Yeah.
That's yeah. That was in all the trailers, and I was like, I appreciate this movie. Hats off to the script on that one. That was nobody's beaching anyone off.
What's the name of the Shang-Chi actor?
Simu Liu.
Yeah, he was great. That's like such a random casting choice that I never would have like chosen. Just and like worked so perfectly.
Michael Cera.
yeah.
Thumbs up to that too. It's it's Ken's friend.
Alan.
Yeah, Alan, Ken's friend. I love that. Yeah, there was just like that was a fun thing too, that there was like they just got to like tout out all these like obscure product lines that of yesteryear.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun. I mean, there was jokes about that in Toy Story 3 as well, with Ken and Barbie, where they had the full Barbie dream house in that, I think, and then she's like tearing up all Ken's outfits. No, that's vintage, or whatever. But like, there's stuff like that in this. There's nothing quite like that scene, but like tons and tons of like the outfits from this Barbie line. These are from these.
The way
and
Ken
then,
was throwing them.
It'll even throw them like freeze framed on it. Basically, it was very fun, very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Style is really what the movie has, I think, going for it the most. It leans into that. It leans into that world and just like takes you along for the ride, pretty much.
And I mean, the sets they have going on where it's like all this pink and like looks like it's just straight out of the Barbie world. It's really well done.
Well, apparently my parents were telling me that they like ran out of there was like a worldwide shortage of that color paint of pink or something due to the sets of this movie. Apparently, that's what I was told. So I was like, I believe it. After seeing it, it makes sense. There's a lot of pink in this movie. So,
and I mean, the music choices were really good. Like, it was like some original music for it. There's a Dua Lipa song. There's a Lizzo song to start the movie. Which,
famed. She's in a little hot water right now.
She's
as
got
we're recording
stuff
this,
going on. But that was the perfect song to start it off.
Yeah,
and
it was good stuff. Yeah. It was a fitting soundtrack for sure.
It's almost funny because they did the whole like, I forget what they call it, the ordinary Barbie, where it's like not like regular proportion Barbie or whatever. They had this idea of that, and it's like, and then they told the CEO like, oh, that would actually make a lot of money. It's like, okay, get on it. I'm surprised I haven't seen anything like them actually doing a Barbie like that, Because it's like, it's almost weird that Mattel like signed off on this movie criticizing certain things and saying they could do a regular Barbie, and then it's just going to go back to doing the Barbies anyway.
I almost feel like they may have at one point I could be remembering. There might have been another doll line that did something like that.
I don't remember it,
I
but
don't either.
I'm surprised I
Obviously, I mean,
haven't seen as much
I
marketing along with this movie, ironically, or like
yeah, interesting.
like
They don't have any
merchandising.
tie-in. Yeah, I don't know if they have any tie-in lines. I'm assuming they have to. I also don't watch like a lot of like cable TV anymore, so I don't see like a lot of like targeted
Mm.
kids ads for things like that anymore. I don't know what commercials are like these days. Well, no, that's not true. I was at my parents' house. I watched some. They had like a Disney Plus show on one of the Disney channels. And I was watching some like advertising for. Obviously, it's only for Disney stuff, but like
Hmm.
I was like, oh, okay, yeah, they still have ads and they're great. It's weird, but um,
Yeah,
they just don't do ads like they used to.
right. Absolutely, absolutely. It's
It's
all right. Well, anything else on the Barbie movie?
not particularly. No, nothing that's springing to mind.
All right.
But
Well, I was
I
gonna
would say
say I give
I would
it
say I
an
think
8 out of 10.
I get. Is that what you're gonna say?
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's my exact score. That was also what I give it. Yeah,
Right.
I had a lot of fun. And yeah, would gladly see it again.
Mm-hmm.
So
So Tarqaron score
yeah.
8 out of 10. I mean, it's kind of similar to like the Mario movie almost. It's like, and how I feel about it. It's like just fun.
Mm,
Nothing too
yeah.
deep about it. Nothing, you don't have to think too much about it. There is some sort of commentary on it, but I don't agree with people who say it's like anti-man. Like I definitely that's. I don't think
It's
that's.
funny because it's what's really funny about this. I've seen the whole spectrum of takes on this movie. This movie is so interesting because you can look at it from like a totally right wing view, and you can also look at it at a totally left wing view. And like I agree with like both viewpoints. So I'm like you can kind of glean what the ultimate message of that is you can sort of glean whatever message you want off of it because I don't think it matters all that
Right,
much.
well, that's why I think it's silly to criticize it for that kind of reason. I mean,
Oh,
unless
for
unless
sure.
you straight up don't agree that, like,
Yeah, like I saw like Ben Shapiro's like I'm gonna tear this movie apart.
I bet he did.
35 minutes. That it's just like shut up, dude. Just you sat there and you watched a
Like,
movie,
it's
and I'm
some-
sure he's like I brought a notebook in. I brought a notebook into the movie theater, and it's like what is
Yeah,
you
he sits,
sicko?
everybody's dressed in pink. He sits there in the corner with his notebook. Yeah. The patriarchy, huh?
Patriarchy.
Yeah.
See, that was funny.
It's
That was
fun.
hilarious. That was. I'm
It's
gonna
fun.
bring the patriarchy to Barbie.
I mean, if you're bothered by the idea of the patriarchy that is established in society and how women are at a disadvantage, then maybe you will have an issue with this movie, and maybe you're just not ready to see it. But I mean, you gotta have fun with it, you know.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta let things go and just have fun, you know.
It's like I will not. I feel like I saw a post. I will not show my children this movie. It's like, it's like so bothered by it.
Well, that's funny. My nephew, niece, and their aunt, who is their age. It's a little complicated thing, not really that complicated, but they went and saw it, and they dressed up for it. It was very cute, and I had a bunch of pictures.
Right.
And because my nephew's 16, that's terrifying. No, he's 16, gonna turn 17 this year. Oh! And my niece is 15, and then their aunt is 17. So yeah, so they went and saw it, and I was like, yeah, perfect movie for them to go enjoy and have a good time and
Right.
dress up like Barbies and Ken, which is what they did.
My,
So it was
my
like,
occupation is beach.
beach, yes, beach Ken.
There's so many, like, it's actually been a couple weeks now since I've seen it. I should have taken notes and some really funny.
Yeah, you
little
should have been Ben
moments in there.
Shapiro. You should have been
should
like
have.
taking notes in your movie theater.
God. All right.
Okay, well, anyway, that settles that.
Oppenheimer. Boom. Explosion. big explosion on him. All right. Oppenheimer is a
Hmm.
very different movie.
Very different movie. I mean, that is honestly why this happened. That's why this whole thing
Yes.
happened because people were like, tonally, these are just so different movies. Wouldn't it be a gag if we saw them together? And then,
You
of
know,
course, that just mimeticized
and
itself
the
within
aesthetics of it all. You know, the
yeah.
pink and the dark. It
The
makes
movie
you.
poster. I love the movie poster that is Barbenheimer. It's just like characters from both.
Yeah, yeah,
It's great.
yeah,
It's
yeah. And I mean, this one obviously takes itself a lot more seriously. Also, a star-studded cast. It's I mean,
freaking Josh Peck.
Josh Peck,
Josh Peck.
he's in there.
Josh Peck. He's the guy that sets the charge
Uh-huh.
for the test. It's great. He
That's
throws
right.
the switch. Um, Jack Quaid. Uh, obviously Robert Downey Jr. You have Alden Ehrenreich. Uh, of course, Cillian Murphy, but Florence Pugh. Um, shoot, Emily Blunt. Um,
Albert Einstein's there.
Albert Einstein
He
himself
reprises his role as himself.
reprised his role as himself. Um, yeah, crazy. Just a huge. Gary Oldman is in there for one scene. That's great. So yeah, huge cast, huge movie.
It's so funny how different, because Barbie is like you can kind of just turn your brain off a little bit and just like
Mhm.
enjoy everything through. So that you, it's like brain on for this movie. You gotta be
Yeah,
dialed
you
dialed in.
you got to be dialed in a little bit in this one. Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
Um,
I mean, there's some heavy stuff in here. I will
yeah,
say,
definitely.
I'll say it's great. It's great, and what I especially appreciate about this movie is that the visuals that they use when, like, showing Oppenheimer after the fact, like imagining like the explosion around him, and
Oh
the
yeah.
awesome creative stuff they do with that, where he's like seeing people like their face falling apart and stepping in a dead body, or that's like I really appreciated those elements to it.
It's not visual effects heavy, I would say, but like when it's used perfectly. So you have like the stuff with like him talking about imagining an unseen world and how it terrified him like when he was young. That was the very very beginning of the movie. And you see like the sort of like rapid spinning around of
Mm.
electrons and stuff. And it's just like yeah, it's like trying to like because we almost take it for granted now. Like this is the idea of physics and just the existence of the atom and all this sort of stuff is something that we all take for granted. Stuff I learned in high school, and for people on the cutting edge of this kind of science is just must have been like terrifying. Like even Einstein was like, oh, like the randomness of your world is it's so unpredictable, and that was something that Einstein was wary of because um the randomness is terrifying to a certain degree. um you know
Yeah.
how do you control it? And that's kind of a whole undercurrent of the theme of the they can't there's a very small chance, but a chance that when they were designing the device, the bomb, that there was a possibility that it would constitute an endless chain reaction that would ignite the atmosphere because of how powerful it was, and there's nothing they could necessarily do. It's a very slim chance, but it was a chance nonetheless
Mm.
because this is new everything. It's a whole new world of the whole shebang of science. So anyway, great movie. Spectacular movie, I would say. This might be. I haven't watched all of Christopher Nolan's stuff, so I can't say it definitively, but it might be my favorite.
Hmm.
of his. He's one of, if not my favorite living filmmakers. Um, Spielberg's amazing. Spielberg, don't get me wrong. I love the old '80s, all this amazing stuff he did in the '80s and '90s. Love all that. Um, Heck, even some of the stuff he's done recently is still good. I mean, we obviously with West Side Story remake was a phenomenal. Did a really great job with that. But uh, Nolan just is great. I mean, I think it's interesting that there's the what was it? The people call them the they call them the Dark Knight Bros or something, or the Nolan Bros, or the people that like, or the Inception Bros, maybe. I don't know. It's Nolan films do have, I think, a little bit of a reputation for like catering to a particular audience of like, yo, this movie's so intellectual and it's so awesome. This is not a movie for those people because like while it is playing with time and it's doing stuff like that, there's not like tons of action. There's not like tons of special effects. There's great editing. There's like just spectacular editing, amazing cinematography, and some of the best performances I've seen in a movie theater, a going experience. But there's not a whole lot of like the elements of like action and that kind of elements. But if you want to have a sustained anxiety attack for 3 hours, you can thank Ludwig Göransson for that score.
Oh yeah,
The music,
yeah,
relentless. This is almost completely scored through. It's not entirely. There's a few scenes where they give you a break, but
yes,
it's amazing. It's art.
You can't not notice it.
You can't not notice it. It is relentless. And that's it was great. I was enthralled. I think Ludwig Göransson is kind of a genius anyway. So he did The Mandalorian. He's done some other things too. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that's like the main thing.
I think that was actually really important for this movie to have that. I will admit, it's an amazing movie, but it did kind of drag for me in the first half a little bit. I was kind of like, it's not really got my attention as much as, especially the second half, and I think you really have to be in a certain space. Maybe I wasn't in a certain headspace to you have to be ready for it. But I think without the music, it would have been really, really like.
It's to me, it is what drives. It's what allows the movie to be feel as well paced as it is. I think. I mean, editing obviously has to do with that too. But that's, to me, I think is I don't think the movie. I agree. I don't think the movie would even really work without that score. So I'm glad he locked him in instead of. Hans Zimmer's scores are great. Don't get me wrong. Interstellar's got an amazing soundtrack, but having a different sort of a different perspective on how to score a movie is interesting.
I mean, there's something to be said about movies that are more minimalist in terms of like how apparent the editing is or the music, and just like let the performances speak for themselves, not do anything too flashy. But then this movie is almost like really amplified by how it works with all the different elements of it, the editing, the effects, and the music. Like they all amplify it and give it a new identity, whereas it could definitely be much more dull without it. It's not. It's like in the moments it's in your face, it's really effective. It's not like you're wishing it would.
Yeah.
They would do less of it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think these are arguably career-defining performances for two people in particular, and that's Robert Downey Jr., who already has an incredible catalog of amazing
coming
performances.
Off the Doolittle.
He's coming off the Doolittle. He's amazing in this movie. He's in his range. He's Doolittle, man, and then he's this. And that is arguably range.
Imagine
you could argue that
is
range.
Doolinheimer.
Doolittle and Oppenheimer. Doolinheimer.
Yeah.
That would be a nightmare. The Downey double feature, the double Downey. That would have been what you called it.
Double Downey. Yeah, people
Um,
will be,
Double
you don't
Downey.
see
Yeah.
that because it's kind of hard logistically, but you don't see it often. As main two
Yeah.
leading actors, the same leading
Yeah.
actor,
The same
same day.
with. Uh, but Killian Murphy is just amazing.
Oh yeah,
I
oh yeah, I
mean,
love that guy.
I mean, I've loved him since I first saw him in Batman Begins. I'm like, this guy gives his all to every performance he's in, and
Dude,
yeah, I mean, it's stunning, just stunning portrayal of an
beautiful.
extremely complicated person.
He, I still feel bad. I want to go back and finish Peaky Blinders because I watched the first couple seasons of that, and
Mm,
he's awesome in there. He like
yeah, I've seen the first season of that, and yeah, he's great. Um, my
shit's very good.
one of my friend Wesley is seen the whole thing. He says there's there's ups and downs towards the end of it,
It's peaky.
but he thinks it finishes. It is peaky, a little peaky. But I think he's if my memory serves, he did say that it ends very strong. So it does have a really good final
Hmm.
season. So um,
But
but in any
yeah, I
case,
mean, really, boom, put him like on display on this movie. I mean, it's
yeah,
already you can just tell with these sorts of things. This is already like best picture, uh, like front runner, best
I think
actor
so.
up there, front runner probably.
Yeah, I mean, easily. I think that yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some other movies. Obviously, we can't go see everything.
Yeah.
Um, so there's probably going to be more things that we hear about later in the year. But like for the for like the first half plus some, this came out in July, so it's easily. I mean, it's in the public's eye. This is going to be, I think, one of the larger contenders. I would say. And the thing is I don't know. I can't remember other Nolan films that are as lauded as this has been. Inception was nominated for Best Picture, I think. It won some editing and cinematography stuff. But
Hmm.
I don't know if any of his other Tenet wasn't really nominated for a whole lot of. I think probably editing and special effects. I actually haven't seen Tenet yet. Um, oh, I'm forgetting Dunkirk. Dunkirk was, I think, may have won a couple of awards.
Hmm.
Um, but
Yeah.
like yeah, most of them are like they're usually lauded for their editing and that kind of cinematography. But I think this is this is heavily carried by the main performances. I think everybody's great. I mean, everybody's really just on their A game in this movie. Even like small bit characters,
Hmm.
bit characters. I say, but like and people who are in it for very long. I mean, um, Kenneth Branagh, who's in the movie for like two whole scenes, is great. He's Niels Bohr.
Yeah.
Um, or Gary Oldman, who just is playing yet another transforming yet again into another historical figure because he likes doing that, I guess.
I think there's something really cool about taking a real life event like this, and putting it up like as a larger than life story. Because you know when, as this is happening, you know if you saw this playing out in real time, it's not like the most amazing. It wouldn't be the most amazing thing to watch. That's what's beautiful about turning it into a movie, and then like it's like romanticizing or like blowing it up, so to speak. But at the same time, it is once you have the context of everything after, it's like okay, it is actually a huge event in history. So there is actually a lot of gravity to everything going on in it. It's not like okay, they really just they glossed it up. It's like this is a really important person,
It's yeah,
and then maybe a lot of people didn't know about as much. And I mean, he himself, he's so dramatic in how he presents, even in like the little clips we've seen of him in history, like saying
mm,
"Now I am death, the destroyer of worlds."
Destroyer of
It's so
Worlds. Yeah,
dramatic in itself.
quoting the quoting the I can't remember Sanskrit scriptures. I don't remember what the particular. Um. Oh, wait, Ozymandias, I think, is what the poem was. Right?
Hmm. Was it? Hmm.
I think it was. Yeah. Um. Or Ozymandias, however you pronounce that name. I don't know. In any case,
But it's just really compelling. I think how presenting it in this way and the
oh, for
narrative
sure.
of it all.
I mean, World War II in and of itself was one of the. I mean, it's if you look at things that are the most defining events of the 20th century, the the bomb changed the world. Like
Mm,
it, it's I would say is probably the most important thing that happened in the 20th century, and that's not saying that lightly because there's a lot of stuff before that that's also significant in terms of how the course of human history has gone since then. But that in particular, um, is uh is huge. I mean, and I the thing that talking with my brothers about this, I don't remember. I haven't talked. My brother, one of them was talking about going to see it. I don't know if he has yet. I have to talk to him about it if he has. But one of the things that like I appreciate about the movie is it wasn't like there was it accepted the idea that there was a grim necessity to the development
right.
of the bomb. There like because if we're not going to do it, someone else is going to. Like it's a guarantee. And that's horrendous. That's kind of like where the world went to at that
Right.
period of time. And it's like um I think to one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie, um, just because of how like harrowing it is, was the meeting with the chief staff uh, under Truman and discussing where are we going to drop the bomb.
Right.
And it was just like, oh my gosh, it's just
Yeah.
like so. It's like eerie. It's eerie because of like we know the after effect.
We know the.
We live in a world. Yeah, well, we live in a world that has, in some essence, maybe to a certain degree, maybe it's a good thing we don't necessarily remember. You know, we're far enough down, yeah, in the chain. You know, we have the greatest generation,
Yeah.
baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Y, millennials, and then Gen Z. We're far enough down in the chain, you and I, where we don't remember what it was like to be terrified of an atomic
Mm-hmm.
attack. Whereas my parents remember what that's like because they were both boomers, and um, it's interesting that like this sort of brings it back up again to be like, no, this is still like everything that happened then is this everything we're dealing with now is just a trickle down effect of everything that happened at that period of time. It's like
Mm.
to me a movie that does such a good job in its performances, but also highlighting how important it is to like know why things are the way they are. Um, I it's great. I mean, I think it's great that it was so well made. It's poignant, thought provoking, well acted, and I can't remember exactly where I was going with it, but I think that's important that something that as a history person, I don't talk about this a lot, but like stuff like that is very important to me. That like we understand where we've come from and where we're going. I guess that's sort of the importance of understanding and studying history and the people that came before. So
Yeah.
yeah, I adored this movie. I'm gonna go to try see it in 70 millimeter IMAX this weekend. I hope.
I would like to see it
So
again. I think it's like there's a lot. There's a lot to it that you could.
there is a lot. Yeah.
It could be beneficial in repeat viewing. But what you said about the room where they made the decision, they were talking about like
Mm.
were to drop the bomb. It's that is an
Yeah.
interesting thing because it's like we don't see that part of history you don't see. It's like that
Yeah.
that kind of conversation had to happen, but we don't hear about
Yeah.
it. We don't talk about that part of it. It's just like a history point. It's like the bomb was dropped. This is where the bomb was dropped. And that's it.
Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Those are
Yeah.
the locations. Yeah.
And it's not like here's the conversation they had leading up to it.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting angle to take. So they really take it seriously on multiple angles, and then obviously the thing that makes it so powerful is the aftermath also, and how like the effect it had on the people involved.
Yeah.
Like it's like a big celebration moment, which is it's like an eerie thing to be celebrating that, and then after that to be like, oh wait, do we actually feel good about this? Was it even necessary? It looks like they were on their way out anyway. Like, and there's just so many layers
Yeah.
to it.
And now this display of power is just continuing to open the door for more weapons development, even more powerful stuff. Like, yeah, it's just yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a lot to think about. It's a very heavy movie for sure.
And that's why
Um,
Oppenheimer is such an interesting individual. Even if you look at like an actual interview from him in like
yeah,
1965, where it's like he's clear he's like affected by it. He'll have like
yeah,
intellectual responses and like intelligent. He's very thoughtful about everything, and he's like very clear that it's like we might feel like it was the right decision to make at the time, or even now I feel like it was the right decision to make. But it's like doesn't mean you shouldn't feel bad after the fact.
right, right,
Like that's almost more necessary. That's the human element of it all.
yeah,
So it's like once you're doing that and then you don't feel bad after, that's when you have a problem.
yeah, right, right,
but,
exactly.
but yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but yeah, it all kind of being frameworked around the sort of all the stuff about him having a security clearance and we didn't even get into all that. I mean, this movie's huge. We could talk about it for probably a couple of hours, but um, keep it brief, I suppose. That's. I mean, I think that's more. I feel good, kind of leaving it there.
mhm.
Anyway, unless you had any other thoughts.
Yeah, I think so. Honestly, with how much I'm talking up, I'll probably seem like I'm giving it a higher score than I actually will, only because I feel like in the first half it did kind of drag on for me, and it took me a while to get invested into it. But like I said, I
Mhm.
would like to see it again, and I think it would probably benefit from watching again to
Yeah.
really appreciate every detail. But I'm gonna give it an 8.5, which is
Okay.
still a very high score to me.
Still a very high score. Um, because it's recency bias, I do not want to give this a 10 out of 10. I'm going to give it a 9.5 because of that. Um, but this movie is like pretty much everything I love distilled into a movie. It's about history. It's about science. It has extremely powerful, engaging performances from stellar actors. It has a fantastic screenplay. It has a amazing score that's relentless and keeping you on the edge of your seat in the movie at all times. It's just like this is what cinema is. Like this is why movie theaters can't die. This is why I don't want movie theaters to die because like there's nothing like seeing something like this on the big screen, which is kind of wild to say it because it's not like a huge explosion. You're not like in Avatar or whatever. You're not in this world, but you're just engaged, and there's something special about seeing a story like this in such a huge way, in such with a massive screen, surround sound, all that stuff that you get by going to the movies. And that's why I want to see it in 70 millimeter IMAX as well. Seeing it on film, I think that's cool. And there's only 19 theaters in the whole freaking country that are showing it that way. So obviously I want to go try to do that. So yeah,
All right. Well, that's a Tarqaron score of 9 out of 10. The
yeah.
question is, will Barbie get any recognition at the Academy Awards?
It might. I almost think for like maybe direction. Greta Gerwig is kind of a critical is a darling of the Academy. They do like her a lot. Um,
Yeah.
and maybe for the cinematography of Barbie, the way I described it, it's not like this all the time, but it almost feels, particularly when you're in Barbie Land, it feels much. It feels like a commercial Wes Anderson movie.
Hmm.
Like a merchandised Wes Anderson movie. Um, and that's fun and weird. Um, so there's something to be said about the cinematography for sure.
It's
I
almost
don't
a
know.
shame though, because like Academy Awards is very much a certain kind of movies is usually what goes
A
down in
lot of the
Academy
time, yeah,
Awards.
yeah,
Um, Even with like say superhero movies, they're not really recognized for the most part on that level.
yeah.
It's like because
Because it's about the art of filmmaking, right?
yeah, I could
Right.
legitimately
Yeah.
see like best actor actress nominations for Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. I think like the role they're given, like you couldn't have done them better. But it's like those roles aren't really appreciated as much compared to like the Oppenheimer roles.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they'll even be mentioned or not. But yeah,
Yeah. I don't know. I know people have said I don't. Yeah. I don't know. Because they are both great. I will. I do have to admit that. I mean, I think Margot Robbie's just an amazing actress in general.
hmm
Basically everything I've seen her in, I'm like, good job.
yeah.
So,
And I haven't seen a few of her notable roles as well. But I mean, she clearly does very well with these like very distinct characters. You know, with Harley Quinn
yeah,
and Barbie,
yeah,
she
yeah.
just kills it. But there's something about it. I feel like there's a stigma to it where it's like if you were to have like Ryan Gosling win an award for it, it'd be like laughed off. You
That's
know.
kind of, well, yes. Well, it'd be weird, probably, when you've got like Robert Downey Jr. nominated for the same
Yeah, same
category,
category.
best supporting actor.
Yep, and
um,
then he'd be pissed. He's like,
he'd be undoing his time.
for Ken. Not the award for Ken. Imagine multiple Ken nominations.
Simu Liu and Ryan Gosling
As Ken. Yeah.
as Ken.
Um,
What's the guy who plays the? I can't remember his name. I don't know if I've ever seen how to pronounce his name accurately, but the guy who's playing going to be the new Doctor in Doctor Who. He's one of the Kens as well.
what you mean? The new doc isn't the Doctor an old Doctor?
So for the specials that are coming out either later this year, it's going to be David Tennant, but after that is
Just for specials?
Nikuti Ogo something or the
Oh,
other.
okay.
Um,
Wait, so they made much
uh,
ado about nothing, or what?
No, Nikuti Gatwa. That's his name.
Yeah.
Nikuti. I don't know how you pronounce that name. I'm sorry. Oh, Shuti. It's literally a Shuti. Ncuti. So it's
Hmm.
Shuti Gatwa. Is a Rwandan Scottish actor. Yeah, he's playing. He's gonna be the new Doctor after in the season after. But there's like 3 or 4 specials where it's gonna be David
Three,
Tennant.
four
So
specials, but it's not like an actual season series.
it's not gonna be a full season. No,
Wow, they made
that's
much
been
ado
known.
about it.
No, that's gonna be known. That's gonna be known. That's been known for a while because that's being done for the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who, which was last year technically, but we won't go into that.
Dang.
Oh no, it was this year. It is this year. 60th anniversary is this year.
All right.
Just 1963.
All right. Okay,
So
so that's it. Barbenheimer. That's I guess overall it's an 8.5 for Barbenheimer.
and I guess
Altogether.
so. It's pretty solid.
Solid.
Pretty great movies. Yeah, and then immediately I was like, oh well, I wanted to go see Mission Impossible. I probably still will want to go see that, but that's almost 3 hours long too. With all these movies being so
I can't do it.
dang
I
long.
can't do it with these long ass movies. So I was like, there's no way I can make it through both back to
Yeah,
back.
what was there? There's like there's been a lot of movies that have been that freaking long. I'm like, dang, yo. The No Time to Die was like 2 hours and 45 minutes or something. I'm like, these movies are long.
They're all full of themselves.
A little bit, a little bit. Wasn't the new Fast and Furious movie was almost like 3 hours long
I have
too?
no idea, but you knew that's fast paced. That's you're not gonna doze off on that one.
Shoot, there was another one I saw recently. There was another movie I feel like I saw recently that was also like, oh, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I saw that.
Mhm.
That movie's almost 3 hours long.
Yeah.
It's like, or it's not quite. It's like 2.5 hours long. But you probably could have cut like 45 minutes out of the movie. And it would have been like 4 times better.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's not
Right.
part of this review.
Anyway,
So yeah, Barbenheimer. It was fun.
Thanks
I
for
had a good
joining
time.
us. Yes.
Yeah.
It's still not too late to go Barbenheimer on them.
It's not. You can if you really want to.
What video would you recommend our viewers watch after this?
Well, I haven't really done anything quite like this, but you should go check out our review of Doolittle. Yeah. Go check it out. Movie's
Yeah.
completely different than what we just saw.
What a
we just talked
performance.
about.
About to embark on a perilous journey. Yeah.
You remember more of it than I do. I don't remember anything. I just remember
That's all I remember is the one line from the trailer.
embarrassing.
You know, his
Yeah.
awful accent. But, alright, check that out. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed. Like the video. Hit the notification bell. Leave a comment below. And if you do, we'll read it in the next episode of the Tarqaron podcast. Alright? And click the link in the description for our social media. Alright, now.
All right.